Hi everyone. I really need some outside perspective, so please leave your advice in the comments. I, 39M, have been married to Claire, 37F, for 12 years. We have 2 kids, a house with a little garden, and for the longest time, I thought our life was steady and safe. Then came the funeral. A close family friend of ours, someone we'd both known for years, passed away suddenly. It was devastating, especially for his wife, Tom's wife, and for Claire. She took it hard, but what I didn't realize was how much that day would change everything. At first, I thought it was just grief. Claire became quieter at home, distant. She'd say she needed time to think and started going on walks alone in the evenings to clear her head. I gave her space, believing she just needed time to process. But soon, the changes sharpened. She started buying new clothes, dressing up more, and paying extra attention to her looks. She became strangely protective of her phone, keeping it face down and close at all times. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd snap at me, "Why do you care? Can't I have friends?" What hurt the most was her laughter. The warm, silly laugh that used to fill our kitchen now came from hushed calls behind closed doors. That sound wasn't mine anymore, it belonged to someone else. I wanted to believe it was nothing, just her way of coping. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Something in her shifted that day at the funeral, and I could already feel the ground under our marriage beginning to crack. Thanks for reading this far. I'll update with what happened next soon. Please, let me know in the comments what you think. Am I overthinking, or is this the beginning of something worse? Talk soon, and thanks again for any advice. One evening, Claire left for one of her usual walks. Something in me snapped. I couldn't sit on the couch pretending anymore. I slipped on my shoes and followed, my heart pounding with every step. She walked quickly through the neighborhood, her phone in hand, barely glancing around. She didn't look like a woman seeking peace of mind. She looked like someone with a destination. She turned into the park. That's when I saw him. Tom. The widower from the funeral. They met under a street lamp, the kind of scene you'd expect in a movie. Their bodies leaned toward each other, heads bent close. She laughed, that laugh, the one I hadn't heard directed at me in months. It wasn't sympathy. It wasn't grief. It was chemistry, sparking in plain sight. My stomach dropped. She reached out and touched his arm, letting her hand linger. And the look on her face, it wasn't pity. It was light, glowing, alive in a way I hadn't seen since before the funeral. I stood frozen in the shadows, too sick to move, too afraid of making a sound. It hit me then, she hadn't changed because of grief. She'd chosen this change. By the time I stumbled back home, my hands were shaking so hard I could barely unlock the door. When Claire returned later, smelling faintly of perfume and night air, she gave me a smile like nothing was wrong. That smile felt like the cruelest lie of all. I didn't plan the confrontation. It came out like a wound tearing open. Claire came home late again, hair slightly tousled, perfume clinging to her skin. She dropped her purse on the counter and started humming while she poured herself a glass of wine. The normalcy of it acting like she hadn't just come back from sneaking around lit a fuse in me. Was Tom's walk nice tonight? I asked, my voice flat. The glass stopped midair. Her eyes cut to me, sharp and furious. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Don't play dumb. I saw you. At the park. Laughing with him like I don't even exist. Her face twisted, but not with guilt, with rage. Oh my God, Daniel. Are you serious right now? You followed me? Do you realize how insane you sound? You're paranoid. You're pathetic. I stood my ground. I saw you touch his arm, Claire. I saw the way you looked at him. Don't you dare tell me I imagined it. She rolled her eyes so hard it almost looked rehearsed. Unbelievable. Tom just lost his wife, and you want to turn it into some cheap drama because you can't handle me being a decent human being. Maybe if you paid half as much attention to me as you do spying on me, I wouldn't need to go for walks in the first place. That cut deep, sharper than I expected. She twisted everything, making me the villain, turning her betrayal into my fault. And the worst part? She said it with such conviction that for half a second, I questioned myself. But then I remembered her laugh under that street lamp, her hand lingering on his arm. No, I wasn't crazy. She was just a liar, one who had gotten very good at rewriting reality. I didn't shout. I didn't slam doors. I just looked at her and said quietly, "You're not fooling me anymore." Her eyes flickered, just for a second, and I saw it, the panic. Then it vanished behind another layer of smugness. "Whatever," she muttered, grabbing her wine and storming off. And just like that, the confrontation ended. Not with the truth, but with more lies stacked on top of lies. After that fight, the house felt poisoned. Claire strutted around with smugness, like I was the crazy one for daring to question her. She slammed cupboards harder, sighed louder, made little comments about how at least some men know how to listen. Each jab was a reminder that she wasn't ashamed, she was emboldened. Meanwhile, I was unraveling. At work, I caught myself rereading the same emails 3 times. At night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling while she slept peacefully beside me. I replayed the image of her under the street lamp, her hand brushing Tom's arm, the sparkle in her eyes. That wasn't grief. That wasn't comfort. That was attraction. What messed me up the most was how easily she lied. She'd come home late, smelling of wine and night air, and when I asked where she'd been, she'd say, "I just needed to think, Daniel." God, why are you always on my back? She said it with such conviction that I actually questioned myself, was I paranoid? Was I really turning sympathy into an affair in my head? But then I'd remember the laughter, the way she saved it for him and left me with silence. That laughter gutted me more than any kiss could. I started breaking down in private. Once, I locked myself in the bathroom, slid down against the tub, and cried until my chest hurt. I hadn't cried like that since my father's funeral. I didn't even recognize myself anymore. The worst part was pretending for the kids. I'd plaster on a smile while making them breakfast, help with homework, tuck them in at night, and all the while, inside I was hollow. My daughter asked me one evening, "Daddy, why is Mommy always gone?" My throat closed. I told her Mommy was just busy, but I knew I was lying just like Claire was lying to me. That realization burned. She wasn't just betraying me. She was dragging all of us into her selfishness. And somewhere deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. It didn't take long for the cracks to widen into full fractures. Claire's walks grew longer. Sometimes she wouldn't come home until nearly midnight, and when she did, she'd act annoyed that I was even awake to notice. One night, she claimed she was meeting a girlfriend for dinner. Fine, I thought, maybe that was true. But at 11:30 p.m, she still wasn't back. I texted, "Everything okay?" No response. At midnight, she finally walked through the door, hair perfect, lipstick smudged just slightly. I asked, "So how was dinner?" She smirked, shrugged, and said, "Oh, you know. Just catching up. Don't interrogate me, Daniel." Her phone was in her hand the whole time. She kept it angled away from me, and when it buzzed, she practically jumped. The next day, while she was in the shower, she left her purse on the kitchen chair. My stomach twisted as I opened it, telling myself I shouldn't, but I had to know. Inside was a receipt from a bar across town, 2 drinks, 2 entrees, 1 dessert. For girls' night? Maybe. But my gut said otherwise. A few days later, I got something worse, undeniable proof. She left her phone charging on the counter while she ran upstairs. A notification lit up the screen, WhatsApp. The preview read, "Last night meant everything. Can't wait to see you again." The sender? Tom. My knees nearly buckled. I didn't even need to unlock it. The heart emoji said it all. When she came downstairs and saw me staring at the phone, her face drained. But instead of breaking down, she went on the attack. "What the hell are you doing with my phone? Snooping through my private stuff? You're unbelievable." I couldn't even form words. I just whispered, "It's Tom." "Isn't it?" Her lip curled, and she spat, so what if it is? He actually cares about me. He actually listens. Not like you, Daniel. Not like you. It felt like she'd ripped my chest open. Not only did she admit it, she twisted the knife, making it sound like my fault. That was the moment I knew the marriage we once had was gone. And she wasn't even sorry. After that night, I stopped pretending. I couldn't unsee the message on her phone, couldn't unhear her words, so what if it is? He actually cares about me. That line played on repeat in my head like a broken record. I wanted to scream, to smash something, to shake her until she admitted how cruel she was being. But instead, I just shut down. I slept on the couch. At first, it was temporary, or at least I told myself it was. But as the nights stretched into weeks, it became the new normal. The kids asked why I wasn't in bed with mommy. I told them I was just up late watching TV and fell asleep on the couch. Lies, more lies, hers were poisoning me, and now I was spreading them to cover her tracks. Claire didn't care. She didn't even try to pull me back. If anything, she leaned into it. She'd roll her eyes when she saw me with a blanket on the couch. She'd mutter under her breath, so dramatic, like I was the one staging some play. The audacity made my blood boil. The worst part was how brazen she became. She no longer bothered hiding her walks. She started dressing up more short skirts, low-cut tops, perfume that lingered like a slap in the face. When I asked where she was going, she'd toss back, "Why do you care? It's not like you touch me anymore." One Saturday morning, I snapped. I don't even know what triggered it, maybe it was seeing her smirk while texting, or the way she laughed at a message and hid the phone when I walked in. My chest was burning as I blurted out, "How long have you been sleeping with him?" Her head jerked up, eyes blazing. "Excuse me? You heard me. How long?" She scoffed, tossing her phone on the counter like it weighed nothing. "God, you're pathetic. You sit here sulking on the couch, spying on me, inventing affairs in your head. Do you have any idea how embarrassing you are?" I stepped closer, my voice shaking but firm. "I saw the messages, Claire. I saw the heart next to his name. Don't stand there and tell me I'm imagining things." For a split second, something flickered in her eyes, guilt? Fear? But it vanished quickly. She crossed her arms and sneered. "Fine. You want the truth? Yeah, I've been seeing Tom. And you know why? Because he makes me feel alive. Because he's not a miserable shell of a man who falls asleep on the couch every night. Because he sees me, Daniel. When was the last time you actually saw me?" Her words hit harder than any punch. I stumbled back, as if she'd physically shoved me. She didn't just confirm it, she twisted it into a story where she was the victim and I was the failure. I wanted to yell, to tell her how much I'd sacrificed, how many nights I'd stayed up with the kids while she worked late, how I'd carried our family on my back while she slipped into someone else's arms. But the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I just said, "You've destroyed us." She laughed, and shook her head. "No, Daniel. You destroyed us a long time ago. Tom just helped me see it." That was the breaking point. I realized then that no matter what I said, no matter how much I begged or fought, she would never take responsibility. She would always twist it, always blame me, always rewrite the story until she was the hero and I was the villain. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just sat on the couch in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and made a decision: I couldn't live like this anymore. I didn't know yet what leaving would look like, or how I'd protect the kids from the fallout. But I knew one thing for certain: staying meant dying a little more each day. And I wasn't going to let her take the rest of me. After the breaking point, something inside me shifted. It was like a fog lifted, and for the first time in months, I could actually see Claire for what she was: not the woman I married, not the mother of my kids, but a manipulative liar who had built an alternate life right under my nose. And the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. But here's the thing: anger without a plan is just self-destruction. So I started planning. Quietly. At work, during my lunch breaks, I researched divorce attorneys. I didn't call anyone yet, but I bookmarked websites, read testimonials, and took notes on custody battles. At home, when Claire was out for a walk, I started gathering documents, bank statements, her receipts, screenshots of her messages with Tom. I wasn't going to let her turn the tables on me and paint me as the crazy, jealous husband. Meanwhile, Claire acted like she was untouchable. She came and went as she pleased, leaving me with the kids while she dressed up in clothes I'd never seen before. She was suddenly obsessed with looking younger, new dresses, a haircut, more makeup. She even joined a yoga studio across town. When I raised an eyebrow, she smirked and said, "Don't look so shocked. Some of us still care about ourselves." What gutted me was how she treated the kids. She wasn't cruel, but she was distracted. She cut bedtime short, rushing through stories so she could answer a work call. Our daughter asked me one night, "Daddy, why doesn't Mommy tuck us in anymore?" I didn't have an answer that wouldn't break her heart. The final straw that week came when I overheard a phone call. Claire thought I was asleep on the couch, but I'd woken up when I heard her voice. She was in the kitchen, whispering into the phone, her tone soft and syrupy. "Don't worry, baby. He's not going anywhere. He doesn't have the guts. It's just a matter of time." My stomach dropped. She wasn't just cheating, she was mocking me with him, betting on my silence. The next morning, I played it cool. I made the kids breakfast, kissed them goodbye for school, and acted like everything was normal. But inside, something hardened. She thought I was weak. She thought I'd never walk away, never stand up, never fight back. That day at work, I opened a new bank account. Just a small one, but it was mine alone. I transferred a little money, enough for emergencies, enough so I wouldn't be left stranded if she decided to lock me out of our joint accounts. When I got home, she was on the couch scrolling through her phone, smirking like always. She looked up at me and said, "You know, Daniel, you should really stop sulking. It's pathetic. You'll thank me one day when you realize Tom and I were inevitable." That was the moment I knew I wasn't going to sulk anymore. I wasn't going to let her rewrite this story. The next chapter was mine to write. I didn't tell her, not yet. But in my head, the decision was made. I was done being her doormat. And for the first time in months, I felt calm. Once I made the decision to stop being her doormat, everything shifted. I didn't announce it to Claire. I didn't shout it from the rooftops. But inside, I had crossed a line, and she must have sensed it. I started moving differently. Not in big, obvious ways, just subtle changes. I stopped asking her where she was going. I stopped reacting when she left dressed to kill for her walks or yoga classes. When she snapped at me, I didn't flinch. When she mocked me, I let her words slide off me like water. The more I detached, the more nervous she seemed. It was almost funny. For months she had fed off my pain, my paranoia, my desperate attempts to hold on to her. Now that I wasn't feeding her ego with reactions, she started poking harder, trying to get a rise out of me. She'd say things like, "Tom knows how to make me laugh, unlike you," or, "You should thank me for staying married to you this long." I just looked at her and said nothing. That silence scared her more than my shouting ever did. Meanwhile, I was laying the groundwork. I started documenting everything: dates, times, screenshots, receipts. I got a small storage box and hid it in the garage behind some tools. Every piece of proof I found went into that box. It became my secret weapon, my insurance policy for when this whole mess finally went public. And then came the twist I didn't expect. One afternoon, I picked up the kids early from school. They were excited, chattering in the back seat, when my daughter suddenly said, "Daddy, Mommy was with Uncle Tom again today." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "She picked us up from practice yesterday, and Uncle Tom was in the car. They were laughing the whole time. She told us not to tell you." My blood ran cold. She wasn't just sneaking off to see him anymore, she was involving the kids, using them as props in her double life. And she told them to lie to me. That crossed a line I didn't even know existed. That night, I confronted her not about the affair, but about dragging the kids into it. She barely looked up from her phone and said, "Oh, don't be dramatic. They like Tom. He's good with them. It's not a big deal." Not a big deal. That's how she described parading her lover around our children, making them complicit in her betrayal. My hands were shaking as I walked out of the room. I didn't want to say something I couldn't take back. But as I sat alone in the dark, I realized something: I wasn't afraid anymore. She had crossed every boundary, every line, every shred of decency. There was nothing left to lose. The turning point wasn't just about me taking back control, it was about protecting my kids. I wasn't going to let her drag them deeper into this mess. The time for silence was almost over. The night of the showdown wasn't planned. It just happened, like a dam finally bursting after months of pressure. Claire had gone out for yoga again. She came home late, her hair perfectly styled, perfume clinging to her like armor. The moment she walked through the door, I could smell the wine on her breath. She tossed her bag on the couch and scrolled through her phone with that smug little smirk I'd come to hate. Something inside me snapped. I walked to the garage, pulled out the storage box I'd been filling for weeks, and set it on the kitchen table. Bank receipts. Screenshots. The hotel confirmation. And finally, the kid's casual confession about her and Tom together. "Sit down," I said. My voice was calm, almost too calm. She looked up, rolled her eyes, and laughed. "What is this now, another one of your little interrogations?" I didn't answer. I just slid the first paper across the table, the bar receipt from her girls' night. Then the hotel booking. Then the screenshot of the WhatsApp message from Tom. Her smirk faltered, but she tried to keep up the act. "Wow, Daniel," she scoffed. "You've really lost it. Snooping through my stuff, stalking me, collecting evidence like some wannabe detective. Do you know how pathetic this looks?" I leaned across the table, my eyes locked on hers. "You told the kids to lie for you." That hit her like a slap. For the first time, her mask slipped. She opened her mouth, closed it, then spat, "They don't understand. It's harmless. Tom is a family friend." "Don't you dare call him a family friend," I snapped, my voice sharp enough to cut the air. "You've been parading your affair partner in front of our children. You told them to keep secrets from me. You don't get to twist this anymore, Claire. It's over." Her face went pale, then flushed bright red. She shoved the papers back at me, her voice rising. "You think you can scare me with this crap? You won't leave. You don't have the guts. You need me, Daniel. Without me, you're nothing." But this time, her words didn't sting. They rolled off me. Because I wasn't afraid anymore. "I've already spoken to a lawyer," I said, my voice steady. "I know my rights. I know what I need to do to protect the kids. You can keep lying, keep gaslighting, keep playing your games, but I'm done being your victim." For the first time since this started, she had no comeback. No smugness, no smirk. Just silence. Her jaw tightened, her chest rose and fell with sharp breaths. Then she whispered, almost too quietly to hear, "You'll regret this." I stood, grabbed the box, and walked away. "No, Claire. You will." That night, I didn't sleep on the couch. I slept in bed, alone, while she paced downstairs, probably calling Tom, probably trying to figure out her next move. The showdown wasn't about ending the marriage, not yet. It was about reclaiming my sanity. And for the first time in months, I felt like I had it back. The war wasn't over. But the battlefield had shifted. After the showdown, the atmosphere in the house turned radioactive. Claire was furious, pacing the kitchen at night, slamming cabinet doors, muttering curses under her breath. She didn't apologize, not once. Instead, she launched into threats: "You'll never get the kids. You think a judge will side with you? You're pathetic, Daniel. I'll make sure you regret this." But the threats didn't hit like they used to. For the first time, I wasn't afraid. I had the proof, the lawyer, the plan. Every word she spat only reminded me how far she had fallen from the woman I thought I married. The kids weren't blind to it. My daughter asked me, "Daddy, why does mommy yell so much now?" My son clung to me at bedtime, whispering, "I don't like when you and mommy fight." Those moments tore at me. But they also solidified my decision. This wasn't just about me anymore, it was about protecting them from growing up in a house built on lies. When I filed the papers, Claire lost her composure. She screamed, cried, begged, threatened, all in the same hour. She said Tom wasn't even serious and that I was throwing away a family over nothing. I just looked at her and said, "You already threw it away. I'm just picking up the pieces." The weeks that followed were brutal. Lawyers, custody talks, endless tension. But through it all, I held on to one thing, the calm I'd felt the night I told her it was over. That calm carried me through every storm she tried to create. Looking back now, I've learned more than I ever wanted to about betrayal. I learned that lies don't just erode trust, they rot the entire foundation of a family. I learned that gaslighting is one of the cruelest forms of abuse, because it makes you doubt your own mind. And I learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away, even when every memory begs you to stay. If you're reading this and your gut is screaming at you, listen to it. Don't let someone convince you that you're crazy when your instincts are telling you the truth. Document, prepare, protect yourself and your kids if you have them. And remember, you can survive betrayal. You can come out stronger, even if it feels like you're breaking in the process. As for me, I'm not over it. I don't think you ever really get over something like this. But I'm healing. And every day I wake up without Claire's lies in my face, I feel a little freer. Goodbye, Claire. Goodbye to the woman I thought you were. And goodbye to the marriage I kept alive long after you'd already buried it.